A story from the book, The Homeownership Myth, by Jonathan Cohn that illustrates how housing companies scam people into believing that a house is more of a status symbol than a need. The story of the Joneses. The Joneses were a young couple who had just gotten married. They were both working professionals, and they had a good amount of savings. They decided that they wanted to buy a house, and they started looking at different neighborhoods. The Joneses were attracted to a particular neighborhood because it was seen as a status symbol. The homes in the neighborhood were large and expensive, and many of the residents were successful professionals. The Joneses felt that buying a home in this neighborhood would give them a sense of status and belonging. The Joneses eventually found a house that they liked in the neighborhood. The house was more expensive than they had originally planned to spend, but they decided to go ahead with the purchase. They felt that the status that the house would bring them was worth the extra money. The Joneses moved into their new house, and they were initially happy with their decision. However, they soon started to realize that the house was more of a burden than a blessing. The mortgage payments were high, and the maintenance costs were expensive. The Joneses also found that they didn't have as much time to enjoy their home as they had thought they would. After a few years, the Joneses decided to sell their house. They lost money on the sale, but they were glad to be rid of it. They realized that they had been scammed into believing that a house was more of a status symbol than a need. The housing market is full of companies that use marketing and advertising to convince people that they need to own a home. They often use images of luxury homes and happy families to create the illusion that homeownership is the key to happiness and success. However, the reality is that homeownership can be a burden for many people. The mortgage payments, maintenance costs, and property taxes can be high, and homeowners are often tied down to a particular location. It is important to remember that housing is a basic need, not a status symbol. People need a place to live, but they don't need to own a home in order to be happy and successful. There are many other ways to build a life that is fulfilling and meaningful.